The luxury industry is facing its worst financial crisis in decades.
Luxury as we know it, luxury as an industry, never has gone through anything like this.
Many thought that luxury brands would be recession-proof. But the global economic downturn has meant that the luxury industry is facing turbulent times. This week, the Luxury Channel is in Monaco at the FT Business of Luxury Summit, where some of the most important players in the luxury business are meeting to discuss the current crisis and how to ensure a strong, sustainable future.
This is our 5th Business of Luxury conference. We've been in Vegas and we've been in Shanghai. We're back in Europe again, and I think the key issue will be managing in a downturn.
I think this economic context makes this an even more important conference than usual.
There is a huge desire to talk through shared experience, weed through what's occurred, and try and figure out the best way to go forward.
There are very inspiring people, and there's always something that you think you know, but it's said in a different way, from a different point of view, and you can take home.
I think it's really important to get together and to listen to what people have to say in the industry, and that's quite good, actually.
I think this is a wonderful idea, and it's a great summit, and it comes at, I think, the right time, because everybody's looking at what the economic crisis is going to do as it relates to the luxury industry.
It's important, and this is probably the best place to have it.
We have the most serious recession in 60 years. How is that going to affect the luxury industry? That's the big $60 billion question.
The luxury industry has been enjoying a boom time in recent years, with average growth of 7.4%. Big brands have used new products to expand into more mass markets. But as a biting recession causes these new consumers to tighten their belts and boom turns to bust, brands are realizing that something must be done to ensure the future of their industry.
The events of the last year have been extraordinary. Luxury as we know it, luxury as an industry, never has gone through anything like this.
The luxury industry is key for Europe. It's one of the rare industries where you can produce products in France, in Italy, in Spain, and sell in China.
Everyone expected that at some point there would be a downturn, but I don't think anybody expected just how fast and brutal, actually, the downturn has been.
We were just coming out of 3-4 smooth, incredibly growing years, and suddenly, boom, it hit.
So I think that caught everyone by surprise. It genuinely created a sense of sort of shock. And I think that, people are now, I think the panic is over, but at the same time, the sort of fundamental need for brands and businesses in luxury to adapt to this new environment remains pretty fundamental.
Hosting the conference is His Serene Highness Prince Albert II of Monaco, whose family dynasty has created one of the most luxurious destinations in the world, and whose passion is to lead the challenge for sustainable business.
Social responsibility can cover a whole range of issues, but it has to start at this time.
The opening address was given by industry giant Bernard Arnault, CEO of the LVMH Group, which comprises almost 60 companies, including some of the most prestigious global brands, and which accounts for an impressive 12% of the entire luxury market. He was quite clear about the cause of the current crisis.
Many of these investors bought things without knowing exactly what are the parameters to make a brand really work. It seems very easy from the outside because it's fascinating products, and usually when it's well run, it's profitable. But in fact, it's as tough as it is in any industry, maybe even tougher.
The convention highlighted 3 areas of discussion: global expansion, sustainability, and the internet.
I think the central theme is sustainability, and that takes a number of angles. Brands will be thinking about how they need to adapt to this new environment, and I think there'll be a lot of fairly important sort of debate and discussion.
I think it's been coming. I think it was a buzzword. It is no longer a buzzword. It actually is a reality.
Sustainability is absolutely an area where all brands, and particularly luxury brands, must take a lead, and I think that's really coming from the consumer.
When times are good, people care a lot about the environment, sustainability issues. But of course, when times are tough and money is tight, then it seems usually that people tend to put sustainability lower down their priorities. I think there may be a bit of a change. Call it Al Gore, call it the sense that the planet is in trouble, climate change, that maybe the general public is actually now reached a turning point.
People are realizing this is not a joke. There's something we have to do. If we don't do anything visibly and concretely, not only words, acts, then probably other brands will be chosen.
Sustainability is obviously of paramount importance right now. I think, however, there's something rather kind of wrong about brands just jumping on the bandwagon. There's a lot of terminology about, you know, green is the new black, and actually, no, it's not. It really isn't. It's about being sensible, and I think that word sensible really needs to apply to all industries, but above all fashion, because fashion is not overly sensible. We do all need to be sensible about the way we live, the way we produce things, the way we encourage people to spend. I mean, goodness me, if you look at how people, you know, a lot of the debt is, I'm sure it's been spent a lot of it on designer handbags.
Anya Hindmarsh started her luxury goods company during the 80s recession and has built it up into a multi-million-pound business. She was recently awarded an MBE in recognition of her contribution to the British fashion industry. The company ran one of the most high-profile campaigns on sustainability in business, achieving global recognition in 2007 with the I Am Not a Plastic Bag project, a limited edition canvas eco-tote which cost just £5 and was intended to replace the plastic bag.
The I'm Not a Plastic Bag project came about simply because I had a little gremlin on my shoulder saying, "You're being wasteful, it's sort of disgusting, what can you do about it?" And we were approached by this fantastic organisation, We Are What We Do, who had brought out this book, Change the World for a Fiver. And the first action of their 50 actions in their book was, wherever possible, refuse plastic bags. And so the idea was to try and very simply create a huge amount of awareness around that very important point. And awareness we did create. I think every line on my face is probably to do with that project. But indeed, 80,000 people queued in England in one day for that bag, and on all through different countries.
Not only did this unassuming shopping bag become an instant fashion icon, it is widely acknowledged to have kicked off a trend which saw consumption of plastic bags fall by over 4 billion in 1 year.
And it shows actually that fashion can have a voice outside of the industry. But we prepared for that project thinking it would lose us a lot of money, did lose us some money, thinking it would be disastrous for our brand image. I had vans prepared to go all around the world picking up all the bags that didn't sell, and I was very concerned. Obviously, it was the antithesis of that, luckily. But we did it because we really believed in the project.
I think consumers look a lot more carefully at businesses and brands in terms of what they're doing in terms of sustainability, the environment, environmental issues.
What we need to try and do is lots of small changes, because lots of small changes amount to big changes. And it's look at the supply chain, look at how you can source cleverly, sensibly, without massive air freight and so on. And just try and encourage the people you buy from to look at improvements in the way that they treat, you know, the water purification and the people they work with, and the distances of the supply chain and so on, and just try and make small improvements.
And it's not just about talking the talk. I mean, I think it's, you know, consumers are pretty discerning players now. They really care. They do their research. They know what's what. So I think it's no good just to put out an advertising message. It's got to be real.
The desire to combine business with high-profile environmental awareness is a growing trend. This stunning footage is from the movie Home. PPR, the Gucci Group's parent company, felt so strongly about the film's message, it invested €10 million into the making of it. The film highlights the urgent environmental issues facing our planet as we all continue to play the leading role in its destruction.
PPR, our shareholder, decided to invest a lot of money, actually €10 million, in the making of this amazing film called Home. Home, which I think everybody should see, is taking you into this journey of explaining to you where the Earth comes from, what we've done to it, which is pretty bad, and then it ends on such a positive, poetical note that's the part that makes me cry the most, usually.
The film opened simultaneously on all platforms, including the internet, and has so far been seen by an estimated 100 million people. It could also yet prove to be the ultimate marketing tool. global expansion was also high on the conference agenda. As new markets such as India and China open to the world, they are seen as a way of potentially offsetting the decline of the traditional luxury markets. World-renowned economist Jim O'Neill, known as Mr. BRIC since he spearheaded research which highlighted the emergence of Brazil, Russia, India and China as growth opportunities of the future, was keen to offer a refreshingly upbeat message.
I don't believe all this pessimism that this is going to change life as we know it. I think this crisis is all about the end of the dominance of the over-leveraged US consumer. But you've got China and India, and those two countries are 1/3 of the world's population. Between the two of them, it's 2.5 billion people.
I think India will take a long time. It may well become a fashion capital. What's exciting about India is I think if it does become a fashion capital, it will become a sort of locally driven fashion capital. That there are a host of interesting Indian designers working now. The jewelers are extraordinary. There is a huge and very proprietary history of luxury and fashion in India.
I think it's very important to take care of all the developing countries, but there's no question that China is the most important.
China is a very hot topic at the moment, and of course with this very strong crisis, the world is changing, and of course China is becoming this superpower which was emerging in the past 10 years. There's absolutely no doubt that China will become the biggest luxury market in the world. Absolutely no doubt. It is the market which will pull the luxury business.
Raphael Lemain de Chaumont is the executive chairman of Shanghai Tang, the biggest luxury brand in China. He is uniquely placed to give an insight into the possibilities and pitfalls of this potentially colossal market.
People have no idea in the Western world how fast China is going. They have a very new money attitude and a bit of a bling-bling approach to luxury.
I think China is logo-driven now. It's unclear how long that will stay, because what's certain is that emerging markets go through the process, the evolution from bling logos to your initials are the only logo you need very much more quickly each time.
They adapt very fast, and Chinese people are curious. They love to learn, they love to read, and they get more into learning about the brands, and they learn the values of luxury, and things are changing. But of course, there's a lot of new money out there, and they do consume luxury as a recognition of success.
Asia in general is a fantastic opportunity, but there are other places as well. I think there's some interesting things beginning to happen in the likes of Indonesia. In Latin America, Brazil is an enormous story that's in its infancy. I think people don't understand what's really going on. I think if you look at the past decade or close to it, Lula's given Brazil stability that it's not had for 40, 50 years. And the end of inflation for Brazil is a fantastic thing, which is really going to help the middle classes explode. And I think Brazil is a big story that's in the early stages of the consumer becoming a much bigger part of life, and I think it almost definitely means for the luxury goods industry, Brazil's the place you want to be as well. And so I don't understand what people are so pessimistic about.
Coming up, tradition versus technology. The luxury brands face their biggest challenge yet.
We're jumping into this digital tsunami, and hopefully we're not too late.
And how Prince Albert is fighting to keep his own unique luxury brand on trend and on target for the future. Welcome back. This week we are in Monaco, where some of the luxury world's leading players have gathered to discuss the current global financial crisis and how it's affecting the luxury industry. Sustainability and new territories have been two of the hot topics so far. As one of the world's ultimate luxury destinations, Monaco seems the perfect setting for such a conference. But, like all luxury brands, it too is having to face the effects of this current crisis. SBM is one of the most influential companies in Monaco, running some of the finest hotels, casinos, bars and restaurants in the Principality. Bernard Lambert is the company's CEO.
Well, I believe that a luxury summit in a luxury destination is absolutely a perfect match. We're very proud, obviously, that we have been chosen for this venue this year. Monte Carlo has been a luxury destination for over 100 years. Now, how are we coping with this situation? One, and first, we have not lowered our standards. Of course, we are managing more tightly, but no compromission, no compromise on the standards, on the level of service, personalized service to the guests. We are a very small state, 2 square kilometers, so it's the second smallest, but certainly the safest and the cleanest one, because our prince takes great pride in that and has been for years.
Prince Albert has long been a campaigner of environmental and sustainable issues.
We've done a lot of things in the last few years, starting with clean mobility, and we've had an electric and alternative energy vehicle summit and trade show here for the past 10 years, but we've passed different laws here in Monaco for clean mobility. We've made a tremendous effort also on public transportation. Luxury industry is changing right now, and it's just that it has to accelerate that change, and it has to be visible in all aspects of what they do. Social responsibility can cover a whole range of issues, but it has to start at this time.
While many businesses are cutting costs at every level during this downturn, the Fairmont Hotel, one of Monaco's oldest and most famous hotels, is bucking the belt-tightening trend in spectacular style, with a multi-million euro renovation of the entire building. What was the thinking behind such a bold strategy?
I think what's important really at the end of the day is that we do not deviate from that fundamental value of maintaining luxury and delivering, the high expectation that the market has come to expect of the destination of Monaco. What we have done in the last 2 years is we have spent a substantial amount of money, in fact just over 46 million euros, to completely redo the hotel inside out. That's included all the public areas, it's included all the bedrooms of the hotel, it's included the entire 7th floor where we have created something rather unique, because the location in itself is completely, magical. You're literally on the 7th floor of the hotel, looking down onto the bay. You've got 3 countries in front of you. You've got Monaco on one side, you've got France after that, and you've got Italy in the horizon. So it's a fantastic place to be.
One sector of the luxury industry which appears to have remained buoyant in these turbulent times is the art market. Simon de Pury, chairman of Philips de Pury and Company Auctioneers and keynote speaker at the conference, has his own ideas of why this may be.
Whenever you go against the prevailing sentiment, you do fantastically well. So if you look back on the collectors who really were very active when the art market was quiet, they built some of the most phenomenal collections. And again, anybody who goes buying now will do really, really well. I think that despite the current economic climate, truly exceptional works of art will continue to break all record prices. What really matters is to focus on sell the highest quality, the best works that there are, and if you do that, in the end run, you cannot go wrong. It's so interesting to see how art is going to develop. I feel that some great art is going to come out of this current period. And if you look back in the past, some of the greatest art was produced in periods of crisis or after periods of crisis. The internet is completely transforming the art market as we know it, in my view, in a very positive way. For instance, if you want to find out what are the prices for an artist that you're interested in at public auction, you just click in the name of your artist and you will instantly see all the works that have been sold by this artist and the price they have fetched. So this is an information that in the old days only professionals had access to. Now that information is easily and readily available to everyone.
It is not just the art world which has been slow to capitalize on the enormous potential of the internet. The global platform it offers and its ability to reach audiences who historically have been hard to target via traditional advertising methods have made it impossible to ignore.
Internet is obviously a major change for us all in the luxury industry in terms of communication. I think the good old days of advertising in a magazine doesn't really work, or at least is not enough.
E-stores, e-commerce, digital communication are certainly something that we all are studying. From very close. We were caught a little bit out of guard because we were saying, oh, that's not for luxury, and it's so wrong.
The internet is one of the most exciting distribution channels, frankly, and if you look at the pie chart of our visitors, it's absolutely unbelievable, really, where they all come from. And it's actually exciting because it's a very direct means of communication. You know, I can talk directly myself to my customers, and I can explain every corner of every piece that I've done and why. And actually that gives an amazing communication tool that is really second or third hand in a store. So I think I'm embracing it fully. I'm very excited about its potential.
Some fear that the internet is wresting away the brand's control over their own products.
The problem comes on the internet when you have parasite sellers who try to use our brands to sell cheap products coming from very low salary countries. So far, we have the selective distribution system that allows the products to be presented to the customer in shops that follow a very high level of quality. And some of the large internet retailers try to go around this in trying to convince the European authorities to allow them to sell branded products without having more than one shop in a remote country in Europe, and to be able to sell our products without the level of quality.
Communication-wise, we've been slower and more afraid of becoming mass and doing the wrong things. But the problem has been especially that there probably wasn't the right container for our brands. But it's happening, and more we are introduced to very luxurious communities online, and we're getting there. We're jumping into this digital tsunami, which is changing our lives, and hopefully we're not too late. Every crisis brings a change, and personally I believe that changes will bring something positive to you.
Managing a recession is never easy, it's never fun, but actually I think the smart businesses and the strong brands see the real issue is how to come out of this stronger.
Probably the worst mistake would be to go against the DNA of your brand, to change your strategy. Those that will completely change it, you know, lower the prices, going mass, whatever, I can give hundreds of examples, probably won't come out stronger.
Aspiration won't go away. I think the difference is that the word waste is disgusting.
Today, we are in a world that is looking for durability. And what we sell is the highest possible way of durability. I think this trend will increase. And the difference between the real high-quality producers and the others will even increase.
I think you will find all sorts of exciting businesses coming out of this recession. I don't think it'll stop any of that entrepreneurial activity. You know what, I think it'll be fine, it'll make people careful, it'll be a shift. I think people will want different things after this, but that's good. And you've got to read the mind of your customer, you've got to know your customer more than ever.
And the way to do that is, of course, to constantly question yourself and approach the customer from their angle and their point of view and find out what they still want to receive.
Innovation is absolutely essential now. You've got to be more creative than ever, and I love that.
Although the luxury industry is facing the uncharted waters of global recession, there is clearly the will to adapt to the new markets opening up, and the determination to keep this $150 billion a year business not only afloat, but as buoyant as ever.